everyone. We are so glad that you are joining us on this terrific Tuesday. Welcome in to Talk of Alabama. I'm Catherine Page. Making friends as an adult outside of work, outside of school can be so difficult. So we're hearing from an expert. Sherry Lead shares her experiences and advice on strengthening our connections. Welcome back to Talk of Alabama. Making friends in the real world, the adult world, can be difficult sometimes. Our next guest, Sherry Lead, is doing her part to close the gap and connect with women from all walks of life to lead to those lasting friendships. Sherry joins us now. Sherry, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Yes, absolutely. My first time in Alabama, and I'm really enjoying it, enjoying traveling the South.
And it's a little bit different. You were saying that before the break, or before this segment, you said that you are from Seattle, from that area, and it's a different culture.
It's an entirely different culture, and what I've realized, I've had the opportunity to travel the world, but not the U.S. And I realized that when I visited other countries and got to know the culture and the people, I've fallen in love with that country. And I'm feeling that in the U.S. as I travel to the different parts.
And the South, that we're known for our hospitality and hopefully our warmth. Have you felt that?
I've absolutely felt that. I haven't smiled so much just walking in the hotels and everyone smiling, saying hello, and absolutely.
Certainly. Now, you're not just traveling, it is fun, but you're not just traveling for fun. You're a woman on a mission. What is that mission?
Yeah, I really want to show connection. And so all the women I meet with, I'm meeting with one woman in every state, a woman that I either don't know at all or have had very little contact with in the last 35 years. And I'd like to plant the seeds of friendship. And you might look at us and we're very different, like you said, a very diverse group of women, but those differences don't matter when we sit down with one another and we're just enjoying talking about things we have in common, and it's happening very organically.
What started this journey to friendship?
Well, I'm a life coach and I coach women, and it sort of organically happened that I realized that as I was coaching women, we talked a lot about friendships, relationships at work, in the community, making friends, ending friendships, feeling like you belong. And so I wrote a few books on friendship, and I've never traveled the U.S., so what else would make it more meaningful than try to plant the seeds of friendship in every state?
And what have you learned in this journey about making friends with sometimes, strangers?
Yes, well, the first thing is make the first move. And I was surprised as I contacted people, especially the strangers, how open people were to meet me. They didn't know me from anyone else. And granted, I sent them all my information, so they didn't think I was really crazy traveling to their state to have a meal with them. But I was surprised by how open people are if you make the first move.
Certainly. I think, I've talked about this with some of my good friends too. It's hard to make friends as an adult. We're so busy. We have our own lives. We have our own careers. Things seem so much more simple when, you're a kid and you're like, hey, do you want to share this toy with me? Sure, And so how do we simplify it? How do we take out maybe some of the anxiety, the fear of rejection in there too, so we can have good friendships, meaningful friendships?
Yeah, well, in addition to making the first move, I think one of the things is that I like to think of everyone as a friend I haven't met yet. And for me, at least that puts me at ease. And that's helpful to me because now I'm looking at you thinking, oh my gosh, what can I learn from you? Or I'm so excited to meet you, and that puts me in the right place. But I tell some of my clients, many who are introverts and haven't done this, and it is uncomfortable, just hello. Challenge yourself maybe after an exercise class just to say hello and start from there.
Sometimes it feels like, when you're trying to make friends with someone too, you can start with hello and then things don't really go from there. It can almost feel like you're trying to ask someone out on a date or something. You're like, okay, so we've talked a little bit. How do we become friends after that? So that's what you're saying, make the first move.
Yeah, and recognize also, I think that casual friendships are okay as well. And there have been studies where they've shown that as people get older, it's sometimes those casual friendships that really sustain you and make you happy on a day-to-day basis. I actually, when I was in Arizona, I met a woman who was 93 years old. And she was a friend of the Arizona woman that I was set to meet. But the great thing about this woman named Betty is that she constantly is making friends. And you think as you get older, you think of losing all your friends. If you live so long, you think, oh, it's too bad she's lost so many friends. And I look at Betty and I thought, well, maybe that's the key to aging, is to continue to make friends as you get older. And in Texas, I met a young woman. I didn't realize she was she was in her 20s,
Okay.
you know, 30 years younger than me. But I learned so much from her. And that just reminded me of Betty and how we can learn from the younger generation too. So we have this wide variety of people that we can connect with that we don't even realize that we have out there.
And you don't have to put limits on that and say, yeah, she's 30 years younger than me,
Yes.
and what would I have in common with her? Well, what can you learn from her? Certainly. Sherry, you met with somebody in Huntsville just a couple days ago. That was your woman in Alabama. How did all of that happen? How did you come to know this woman in Huntsville?
So she and I happened to be traveling to, not together, but in Southeast Asia, and we were on the same tour. So we exchanged pleasantries. I remembered that she was from Alabama. And so when I was putting this project together, I reached out to her, and she's not, I'm an oversharer on social media, and she's not. So I wasn't sure if she'd be responsive to this, but she said yes, she would. And I sat down with her. I asked her, why did you say yes? And she said, well, I like to help people. But it was such a joy to be able to sit down with her, and she's the first person from Alabama that I really connected, you know, and had a conversation with. I told her, I actually don't think I know anyone else from Alabama. And she gave me one really good gem. I asked her how long she's been married, and she said she's going on 27 years. I'm going on 26 years. But she also said her husband says it's not long enough.
Aww.
And I thought, that is so sweet, because my husband and I will joke and say, oh yeah, it's been a long time.
Right.
But I thought, well, maybe we should change our language and just start saying, we've been married for 26 years, and you know, it's not quite long enough.
So sweet.
And that changes, you know, the mindset of, and helps maybe in a long-term marriage.
Certainly, yeah. Well, your mindset, how you approach it, can certainly change the path of that and the future of that, certainly. And I have to say, Sherry, now you know somebody else in Alabama. I think we're friends now.
Yes, I think we're friends too.
I love that. Well, where can we find out more information about your journey and also your books?
Yes, well, I'm posting my journey primarily on Instagram.
Okay.
It's under my business name, which is really long.
Okay.
It's called An Imperfectly Perfect Life, but you can look me up too under Sherry Lead.
Wonderful. Sherry, thank you so much for stopping by, and we hope this is not your last visit to Alabama.
I hope not too. This has been lovely.
Yes, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Much more talk about Alabama. Let's take a head.